Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games, I'm not gonna shout. Today I'm going to talk about two games that yesterday we did choose to play. One of them is called Homeworlds, it's a little game, and the other one was Guillotine, that was its name. Two games, very different. One of perfect information, and the other one was very chaotic. Each turn was a different situation. Guillotine was randomness and luck and variability, and this was a lot of strategy. But there's room for both, and that's what I'm talking about. Chaoticness. Chaotic? Yeah. Control and chaos. I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope that you're generally well. I am Bez, and this is an episode of Bezzy Beats and Briefer Blether. I'm going to chat, and I've already had some beats. I will chat about what I've been up to yesterday. I'll chat about the games, and then, yep, let's crack on with some recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. What was a recent highlight for you? If you're watching, then please let me know. What was the last game that you played? Did you enjoy it? What was the last time that you went out of the house? What was it for? What was the last thing that you ate? For me, the answers are the last games that I played were Homeworlds and Guillotine, as I mentioned in the song. The last thing I ate was this morning. I had a little shot. It's called Spicy Citrus. It's ginger and lemon and orange and even a bit of cayenne pepper in there. I did also have a bit of food last night at the pub where I went to play. So, and that was the last time I went out. Yesterday was not a great day. I was feeling pretty down, I have to admit. I was feeling very lonely. I was just feeling, oh, what can I do? And checked up to see if any of my housemates wanted to hang out. It's kind of looking for conversations, looking for love, looking for people to just hang out with and play games. Thankfully, because of a Facebook Messenger chat group for local board gamers, someone agreed to play some games with me. I took a few, they brought one, they fancied playing Guillotine. It's not my favourite game, but since it was the one game that they brought, we had a go of it. And it, yeah, while I was at the pub, it was a lovely time. I had these chili poppers, the jalapeno, deep fried, and also had a wee avocado salad, and so that was really nice. Anyway, back to the games. So, Homeworlds is a game of perfect information. You might call it an abstract strategy game, depending on how you term that. Like, there is a setting. So, ostensibly, it's meant to be about space, and like lots of, like you might realize from the box art, it is all about these pyramids. It's not all about the cones, it's all about the pyramids. Pyramid. Pyramids. The loony pyramids. In this game, the pyramids represent stars when they are upright, or they represent spacecraft zooming through the space when they're on their side. And a quick hello. Hello, Idol Michael. It is lovely to see you. I am just chatting about recent games played, and I don't know if you should bother grabbing Pyramid Arcade. To be honest, I would recommend grabbing Homeworlds. And with Homeworlds, you can play most of the things anyway. Honestly, grab this box. That's what I recommend. The Twin Duo is also good. Nomads, just from reading the instructions so far, doesn't seem like a game I would have much joy in, but that's me without having played it. But this does give you 9 times 4, 36 pyramids, which is already quite a bit. And yeah, if you've already got pyramids, why are you grabbing the thing? Like, decide what you want. But anyway, let me talk about Homeworlds, which I think is a brilliant game. Have you played Homeworlds, Michael? So, you've got this board, which is completely superfluous. You don't need it at all. They just put it in there to make you feel like you're getting something for your money, I guess. Or you've got something unique, which makes sense. I mean, they want something unique in each of the boxes. It is a somewhat complicated game. Whilst all the other things have a set of instructions that are maybe 4 pages, this one is a good 32 pages. And I should say that some of those pages are just about strategy, which I know people like Sates would be like, oof, you don't want to put strategy in a game. Let me discover it myself. But it makes so much sense. This is a deep, bloody game. This is bloody deep. This, sorry, yeah, working on my mobile phone because my laptop isn't working and I'm still getting used to which way I turn the camera. Anyway, so Homeworlds, it is bloody deep. At the start, you've got the bank of all your, and this is where you get where you get pyramids for the stars and for your ships. Green allows you to make ships, red allows you to capture other enemies, yellow allows you to move, and blue allows you to transform. So all of these possible things are very integral to the game. You definitely need to build ships in order to go off and do anything. Capturing is really important as a threat. Moving is vital. And transforming just allows you a bit more flexibility. Now you can gather pyramids off the boards just when you're moving into somewhere else. You can gather pyramids when you're making your wee ships. And then you move around until ultimately either you use the red to capture everything that's at someone else's homeworld, or you make sure that there's 4 ships or stars of one color, and then that causes a catastrophe. And if you manage to do that at the other person's homeworld, then either you blow up their star and you need to do that 2 times to win, or you do that once, and if all of their remaining ships were of one color, then they have nothing left in their homeworld. You take it over and you win the game. Bonjour, Aquasulis. J'espère que tu es de bon esprit aujourd'hui. And yeah, hope that your day continues to be well. Anyway, so Homeworlds might turn out to be one of my top, like in my top 5 perfect information games. Up, like certainly not up there with Go. It suffers from the same problems as chess, where you can theoretically run into a draw. The instructions does suggest as such, but I think I prefer this to chess for sure. It's never going to overtake Go for me, nowhere near, for a variety of reasons, but I could imagine it being my number 4, number 5, somewhere like that. But I have to play more than the 3, 4. It depends how you count. I kind of played 2 good games and 2 games that were curtailed, and then we kind of were, oh, let's backtrack and let's start again. So yeah, let's say we had a couple of false starts and a couple of satisfying games. Anyway, so that's one of the games that I played yesterday. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Guillotine, the old game from I don't know when, done by Wizards of the Coast. It's a game about you've got a line of cards. The person at the end of the line is killed, and you get the points. You are the French revolutionaries. You're trying to, if you if you kill Marie Antoinette or the other royal member of the family, then you get 5 points. If you capture, innocent people, then you get negative points. And at the end of the game, the person with the most points wins. There's also a tiny bit of set collection with soldiers that give you 1 point per soldier. So if you've got 5 of them, it gives you 25 points, which is loads. If you've got like 3, it gives you 9, which is nice, but not amazing. And then you've got these cards. Every turn you play a card, the cards are completely unbalanced by design. Some of the cards are clearly more powerful. It's about the excitement of drawing a card, being like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And then 1998, apparently it came out. Cool. And it's got art by a couple of the artists from Magic the Gathering as well. I saw, I can't remember the names of the people, but anyway, it's all about the chaos. It's all about, sure, I like the fact, firstly, in this game, that most of the cards only move one person. Moves one person forward slightly, one person backwards, and play again. But occasionally, there's a card that allows you to shuffle like 4 of them or move 3 of them around. But then there's 3 cards in the deck that just shuffle the entire line and reverse it, or shuffle it back into the deck and you deal out another 12, or something that just ends the day, something that's really super game altering. And I think that this is a good, what my friend who was playing with me, Paul said, this is like a party game for nerds because there is a lot of maths in there. There is a lot of text. And as a person who appreciates control, I think I actually prefer more order. And I think that's part of what I try to instill in um uh fair. Yeah. But one of them was the person who did Christopher Rush. That's the one who did my favorite islands. Christopher Rush did my favorite island. I think it's the one with the purple sunset. It's just a really nice picture of an island. Anyway, that's one of my favorite bits of art from Magic Gathering. Anyway, but I think so. I'd played this game once before, which was about 10 years ago. And I remember approaching it thinking, oh, can I work out how to win? And I saw games as something where a semblance of control in a chaotic world. And sure, there's an element of sometimes we do play games, we just want to be like, oh, okay, let's just forget about it all. Let's abnegation. I am not responsible for my own actions. And okay, I've got a couple of cards. Okay, maybe what's the best thing I can do on this particular turn? But this is the thing. Firstly, you need to come to the game with the knowledge of what it's all about. If you come to that game thinking that there's going to be strategy, then it's not a great game. It did also make me think of the idea of control and chaos, and the fact that as a person who is coming to something with the idea of, oh, I want to learn this game, I want to learn how to play it well, is that ever possible? It feels like there's an incredibly low skill ceiling. Now, it made me think about patterns, and I hate comparing everything to my own games, but that's why in Kitty Cataclysm, I did the Burgle, the Burglar, and the Burglest. And I think there's like maybe 3 cat burgled, 2 cat burglars, and 1 cat burglesque, because that's the way that superlatives work, right? And the same way there'll be 2 catch and 3 catchers and 1 that is the cat chest. And if you start seeing that, you start learning the patterns. But having said that, there might be patterns that I was just unaware of because I didn't design the game, I didn't make it. But I put out all the cards. After the game, I spent like 5-10 minutes whilst Paul chatted patiently, watching me do this, organizing them all by the background art, organizing them all by vaguely what they're doing. And hello, Yoda, it is lovely to see you. Just chatting about Homeworlds and also Guillotine right now. And in Guillotine, the old Wizards of the Coast Hasbro game, well, the edition that I saw was published in 2011 after Wizards of the Coast had been already bought by Hasbro. Anyway, so there, the question arises, at what point is that chaos too much? At what point is it just, I have no idea what I'm doing? Now, someone like Andrew Looney, who designed Flux and stuff, they're a big fan of potentially even playing multiple games on the go and just turning around and saying, okay, here I'm doing this, and then just thinking about that one turn and nothing else. Now, for someone like that, yeah, for someone like that who's just thinking about that one turn, it's feels like a fine game and you don't want that control. And actually, for someone like that, maybe being forced to plan that long term might even be a downside. And again, it comes down to what you're after from your games. And I don't think there is any easy point to be made here. I don't think there's any kind of easy, this is the point at which it's too much chaos, this is the point at which it's too much control, because for sure so many people are going to be coming to a game of perfect information and zero luck and saying, oh, this is too much. And yeah, I thought I would have something more to say about this, but I really don't, and now I really am blethering, so I do apologize. And so I'm just going to go ahead and move to the next section and talk about questionably quick questions is the next section. It's not an interrogation, but feel free to give your questions. It's not an imposition. I'm asking for your questions. But while you're writing your questions, I will talk about a brilliant thing. Brilliant thing. What's the little thing which is brilliant? Okay, so get your questions in. And while you're writing out your questions, I will talk about a brilliant thing, which I am going to talk about emergence. Yeah. Having rules that you play through and then you understand by the end of the first game, and understanding the rules alone is something that you absolutely can do. And there's no new information on the cards. There's nothing that you were unaware of, but it's the combinations of these things. The fact that one person goes down a different route, the fact that you made one different choice at the start, it can send you spiraling down a different path. And that, to me, is games at their best. When one small rule change can change everything. When there's a game, when one action from a player can change everything. It's ripple effects. It is the butterfly effect epitomized by a board game. And I think that that sort of high variability that comes about from the player's actions, I think that that is a brilliant thing. Because interestingly for me, I could see that Homeworlds would actually end up potentially in more variability of games and how they pan out compared to Guillotine, which sure if you get one card which reverses the order of everything, you are going to remember that. And you don't get that card every single game. But in terms of variability and the overall flow of the game, it's always going to be fairly similar. So yeah. Now, let me get rid of that. So questions. Have you decided on whether you're going to Essen or not? I was meant to have a meeting with someone right now. The way I'm feeling right now, I am 40% for going, 60% for not going. That's the way I'm feeling. I am feeling more like I will not go. And yeah, I don't know. I would love to go. I would love to be there. I asked people if they could put me up, and a couple of people agreed. I asked, yeah, I feel slightly bad about this because Vegard said they'd love me to be showing off their stuff, and we talked about potentially even getting some copies of a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises for me to be there, but I just honestly I just don't feel up to it. I and I know it's weird, in which case I would be saying, okay, I'm not going out of the country until maybe January, Nuremberg. I will reconsider it. I will think about how things are at Nuremberg, but I am just not really feeling up to it. But yeah. Um Yoda says Cardiff or Belfast. Ooh. So do I like Cardiff? Which I have been to, by the way. I've been to Tiger Bay, and one of my parents is always very proud to say that they saw Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong in Tiger Bay in Cardiff. Conversely, Belfast. Now, purely based on my parents' memories, I'm going to go with Cardiff, and you know the but yeah, I've been to Belfast as well. That's the place with that Shaw Falls Road. No, what that road and the castle-y bit. That's kind of a House of Parliament. It's not really a castle, but am I thinking of the right place? It's kind of a really nice, majestic building that's like a House of Parliament. I mean, I'm going to offend people anyway. Since Michael is here, I'm going to say Belfast because honestly, I know a couple of people who live there. Michael, I believe, and Rory O'Connor, and I don't know anyone right now who lives in Cardiff. So I'm going to go with Belfast. Um, yep. I'm glad that we're on the same thing. Stormont, that's the one. Yeah, that's big fancy castle-y building. I mean, I know it's not a castle, but it's a really majestic, yeah, building. I went in there. I'm not sure if I kind of went in and then I tried to go somewhere where I maybe wasn't meant to go, but like just kind of striding in confidently until they say, "Oh, you're not meant to go in there," and then you have to come out. But anyway, so Alex says, I was tempted to go to Essen when I saw Ali Cat recruiting demoers, but it's still a bit too soon for me to feel comfortable. Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, everyone has to do what they're comfortable with. And Alex, yep, presumably talking about a game that is all about the tactics and any long-term planning basically goes out the window. Yeah, sure, it does allow for a lower cognitive load. And this is where, actually, if I were to review Guillotine, I would give it less than 5. I don't know how much, probably 4 out of 10, because my issue with Guillotine is just the amount of arithmetic involved. Because for a game that's meant to be about chaos and randomness, the fact that you've got all these numbers going from -3 up to +5, and then you've got the things that give you +1 for each of your greens and +1 for each of your blues, and these soldiers that are the square of how many you've got. So like if you've got 1, it's 1, if you've got 2, it's 4, if 3 is 9, 4 is 16, and 5 is 25, which one made a game. But yeah. Anyway, that's my issue with Guillotine. Yes, it's good to have the lower cognitive load, but then push that into the maths as well. Anyway, chips or cheese? If I had to choose one, absolutely cheese. There is no question in my mind. I know that lots of people would disagree with me. Again, I could not take on that responsibility for the entire world. But if it were purely which one would I, Bez, like to have in my personal life, which one would I would rather be allergic to potatoes than allergic to cheese. I'm not talking allergic to dairy, just allergic to cheese. I would rather be allergic to potatoes. Although having said that, there's probably a lot of potato starch in things, and there's a lot of yeah, just mm, yeah, I'm still going with that because cheese, it gives me so much pleasure. I mean, a good cheese, and like last night, the cheese that was oozed over these deep fried jalapenos, and when I go out to buy like yesterday, as a favor to one of my housemates, I went off and got some chicken and chips, and sure, I got 3 or 4 of the chips on my way back just before the lid was closed. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll grab them for myself and take the rest of them back for my housemates." But then, generally, when I'm out of buying something, like, is the chips are fine, they're nice, but I kind of see the chips generally, if I'm being honest, as a carrier for the condiments. I remember in the old days, I used to be all about just putting all the condiments that I could, having like mayo and salad cream and vinegar and a brown sauce. Now I've gotten a bit older, I've learned what these things taste like. I've learned that brown sauce from one company is pretty much, I can't discern it from brown sauce from the other company, especially when the last time I had brown sauce was maybe a year ago. But and I do appreciate good, crispy outside of the chips with a juicy thing, but yeah, it's got to be cheese all the way. Because cheese, you've got the ooziness, you've got the hard, you've got the mozzarella, you've got the cheddar, you've got the camembert, you've got the, oh my gosh, the Gruyere, that's what it's all about. Elevator. Okay, this is an interesting question. If you could make an elevator between any two places on Earth, where would it go between? Okay, is the elevator allowed to curve? Because I'm thinking that these two places would have to be like, and how fast what would be the utility of this elevator? Is this elevator running really quickly? I mean, let's say I said here to Essen. Let's say I said London, um, Wood Green underground station just beside there to just outside the Mesa. I mean, does it? We're talking about an elevator, right? We're not talking about a portal. It's not like it goes at normal elevator speed and it has to travel in a straight line. Yeah, that was so I was thinking now, is it protected? Is it if it goes through the core of the earth, is it insulated from the heat? Could I survive if it were going to Australia? Because that would be the natural thing to just go to New Zealand or Australia, like somewhere that's close to the other side of the world, because then you're getting your maximum efficiency. Because if it was just here to, let's say, Italy or here to Germany, you're still having to travel the same distance, at which point, what's the point? And also, now think about it, do you have food on this elevator? Because if you're going through the world, like, you've got to is it comfortable? Is there a loo installed? Is there like how are you going to survive the traveling? I am going to make some assumptions. I'm going to assume that it's insulated and I get I'm assu- I'm assuming that I have it's a normal lift, so it would probably get too hot if it goes too deep. In that case, I don't see any utility in this at all, frankly. I mean, I'm sorry, but Alex, I don't think this is a good idea to make a lift between two places on the Earth. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I would. Now I'm trying to think, is there two places which are just could use a lift, like two different floors, and which would be kind of nice? Um, I'm going to say no, I can't think of any building that feels like it needs a lift but doesn't have one. Um, I mean, I and it's a vertical lift. Yeah, I'm really struggling with this question. I'm going to say let's plonk a lift in the bar that used to be the loading bar in Shoreditch because I think that maybe they could use a lift and maybe they would be happy to have a lift there. That's what I'm going to say. And then it would be wheelchair accessible. So that would be a nice thing for the people who come in to make that wheelchair accessible. That's where it's going to go. Between the ground floor and the basement floor of the bar, formerly known as the loading bar. Yep, it's not the most exciting place, but if it's just a normal elevator, then that's going to be it. Um, some lifts do go down a few miles into deep mines, says Alex. Yeah, true, I could have thought about that, but I don't really know any deep mines. I don't have, the foresight for that. And I'm glad you approve. Choose a direction. Um, no. Up into the sky. I mean, you're not giving me anything to go off. But, yep, there we go. Done. Now, we're getting to the end of this show, so I'm going to change the banner and ask, over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. So, what are you up to today? What are your plans for the day? What are you excited to be doing? What are you hoping for? Is there something that's fun and frivolous or something that's super serious? Let me know. I am personally going to cycle for 4 p.m. into town and I am going to hopefully, well, I've got an appointment to see if my laptop can get fixed. If it's fixable on the day, then brilliant. If it's not, then I might have to wait a few days for them to get parts. That's part of it. What else am I up to? It's one of my housemates' birthdays. So, I'm going to wish them happy birthday. Maybe I will spend a bit of time cleaning up everybody. Sorry, that was grumpy of me. I'll spend bits of time cleaning up the kitchen and as much as I can just to make it nice at least for their birthday. Might go and get some flowers or something because they are a person who really enjoys having flowers. And so, yeah, I think that what else could I get them? I know they really like chicken and chips, so I am tempted to just go off and get them some more chicken and chips for lunch. But yeah, anyway, so that's it. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself, to be honest. I might just do a bit of reading. What is everyone else up to? Um, I've already um ended my questionably quick questions. Ah, I like that. Choose a color. Purple. Choose an animal that you could successfully fend off 5, but would struggle with 50. Um, cat. Um, Choose a social situation that is uncomfortable, but you enjoy anyway. Is this uncomfortable? I mean, if people say it's uncomfortable, yeah, I don't think that's a good question. Choose your future. Choose life. So, yeah. Yoda is working, preparing for a marathon. Amazing. Oh, a marathon stream for charity. I thought, okay, I got to the end of the sentence. Preparing for a marathon. Okay, a marathon stream for charity. Awesome. And enjoying some sunshine. Wonderful. Ordering all the various stuff for the split decks, badges, and poker chips. Awesome. So getting in on that production line. And yeah, that is fantastic. And congratulations on successfully funding. And I hope that you, yeah, do well. Oh, I wonder, has anyone ever streamed themselves running a marathon? That would be interesting. But yeah, at this point, I am going to start the recap and wrap up. Today, I chatted about Homeworlds, which I think is brilliant. I chatted about Guillotine, which I personally believe the arithmetic involved in the scoring of that game is at odds with the amount of chaos. But that's my personal viewpoint. I talked briefly about the nature of chaos and control, not that I came to any conclusions at all. But I guess just that chaos is exciting, it provides drama, but even with control, other people can change things. So even if something is ostensibly perfect information, it can still be exciting, and maybe you still don't have full control over it ultimately. Because even with a perfect information game, even with, let's say we're playing Go, or let's say we're playing Homeworlds, like I could come in and say, hey, I'm going to try this crazy strategy. I don't think it'll work, but I just want to try it. I want to experiment with it. And even though it is a perfect information game, there's enough going that I'm not going to plan the entire game like a computer. I just play by the seat of my pants, figuratively speaking, which is, yeah, I just realized that how American that's the seat of the pants. What does that even mean? Like, that's how I'm wearing trousers and I'm like flying by flying by the seats of pants. I mean, I get that it's talking about trousers as opposed to underwear, but what? Anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of making snap decisions and going for it and making gut reactions. And I think that's the thing. Like, I think you can have chaos even with a lot less randomness than people think you need for that level of chaos. Like, even in Go, I could be like, okay, I'm going to try putting something down on the side. It's probably not good, but let's try it. Let's give it a go. I mean, you're probably better off going in the corner, but let's start off on the side. Let's see what happens. And then we talked about lifts and me being concerned about Essen and about animals that you could fend off 5 of but would struggle at 50. And yeah. Alex says it's not perfect information unless you can read minds. But Alex, I don't know if you're making a point, if you're making a philosophical point, or if you're trying to make a joke. But it is a fair point. I mean, in all seriousness, look, when I say when anyone says perfect information, what they mean is, as I'm sure you're well aware, is that you understand the game state perfectly and you have perfect information of what could be done by the next player. It doesn't mean that you have perfect information of the future, but it means you have perfect information of the present and you know what could be done. Now, when I talked about the next turn, that does lead me to think, okay, does that mean that in a game where there's a new card flipped over, but the turn after that is random, does that make it does that make it closer to perfect information in a way? Because you know what could be done on the next turn, but then the turn after that, maybe it's one of a whole bunch of cards. And the truth is, like, with a perfect information game, if it's simple enough, then at a certain point, it does become trivial. It becomes unexciting. Rock, paper, scissors, I'm not going to play that unless it's with a very young person that I feel some degree of love for. Like, absolutely, I would play rock, paper, scissors with one of my nibblings. Like, maybe my newest ones, maybe they grow up to be 4 years old, and I visit them, and they're like, "Oh, you've not played rock, paper, why did I talk about rock paper? I meant tic-tac-toe or noughts and crosses. So, oh, you've not played noughts and crosses. So then I would play noughts and crosses with them, and I would I wouldn't lose intentionally, but I would maybe teach them the game. I would play them a couple of times, and then because there's two of them, then get them to play against each other. And when I was a child, I had a lot of joy learning the game and then spending a long time exploring the entire tree because it's just about simple enough that you can work out the entire possibility tree as a human. But a perfect information game, and not getting into the philosophical thing, but the board game definition of what is a perfect information game, I think that's an interesting point, yeah, because you don't have perfect information of every possible game state, and you're not sure of how it could reach all these possible game states, yeah, sure, it's exciting. And I don't know what Homeworlds would be like if I chose yellow as one of my starting pieces. What would that be like? Would that be a great disadvantage? I don't know. I need to play it a bit more, I guess. I think that, yeah, anyway, that whole line. But for now, all I'm going to say for now is it's been lovely to see you all. If you want to check me out, you know where I am, Stuff by Bez everywhere, and also twitter.com/ELL_deck. Please follow that if you're not already. I am going to be streaming every day at 10 a.m. I'm going to continue that for the foreseeable future. Even if, like, if I'm at an event, it'll be like maybe just a 5 or 10 minute stream. And share, spread the word. I am not doing my streams on Tuesdays for now, especially not without my laptop. I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dutch. I should say Netherlander Yoda. Thank you, Yoda. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Alex, and for being here. And the only thing left for me to say, whoops, at this point is oh, there's a fun video out there where someone built a Noughts and Crosses AI using matchboxes. That does sound entertaining. But for now, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye bye, everybody. Have a lovely day. Yeah, you know what my behind my bed looks like. Bye bye.